Hi, this is Stan Matthews, host of the Matthews TV broadcast and founder of the Inner Circle Professional Network. It takes a village to raise a child and a community to build healthy, wealthy businesses, professional practices, and community organizations. The Matthews TV broadcast enables urban consumers like you to support urban business owners, professionals, nonprofit and community organizations that make urban communities great places to live, work, and raise a family. So please continue to watch the Whole Person, Whole Community broadcast on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. on Comcast Xfinity Channel 190 and at the Matthews Broadcast YouTube channel. Oh yeah, and tell 10 friends to watch the broadcast too. Heartfelt thanks for your continued friendship and support.
Hi, I'm Mayor Baraka of Newark, reminding you to shop urban and shop local to save time and money, get a higher level of customer service, create jobs, and build stronger families and communities. This holiday season, remember to shop urban, shop local, and shop Newark. This holiday season, remember to shop urban, shop local, and shop Newark.
Empower Hour, presented by the Matthews Broadcast and MWC Executive Services, offers a spotlight platform for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders in major metropolitan cities, encouraging buyers to shop urban and to shop small business. Philadelphia's population growth is centered around millennials, women, immigrants, and minorities. Philadelphia was named the second best shopping city in the world by Condé Nast Traveler. Philadelphia regionally supports over 141,000 jobs and 200 employers. Education and health services recorded the largest employment gain, adding more than 12,000 jobs since November 2012. Philadelphia is home to more than 17 incubator spaces, 29 maker spaces, and 29 co-working spaces, offering over 200,000 square feet of space for innovation. If you're not convinced of the opportunity that exists in this city of brotherly love and the tri-state, then maybe there's one more point that might sell you. 20 years ago, Center City had 0 outdoor cafes, 0. And today, it has over 400. The writing is on the wall, ladies and gentlemen. The national and international spotlight is on Philadelphia as a top travel destination and hub for doing business. A diverse economy is a balanced economy, which is what brings us here tonight. Empower Hour, presented by the Matthews Broadcast and MWC Executive Services, offers a spotlight platform to small business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders in major metropolitan cities, encouraging buyers to shop urban and to shop small business. Urban consumers in our tri-state have a whopping $105 billion in purchasing power. So, ask yourself, how many millionaires can we directly create as a result of our own efforts in this community? I'll let you do the math.
When you shop urban, you strengthen your community, save time and money, and create more jobs. When you need capital for your small business, call Brian Fleming at Spring Hill Financial. When you need a car or truck, call Bill Owens at Lucas Ford. When you want your staff to perform at a higher level, call Patrick Fennell at Empowerment Solutions. When you want legendary landscaping services, call Rashid Ali at Elite Visions. This is Stan Matthews of the Matthews TV broadcast, reminding you to shop urban and shop local.
We're back with Empower Hour Philadelphia. I'm here with 3 extraordinary thought leaders who are pioneering the way in leadership, self-improvement, and early childhood development. I have Cheatham Nabel, author and founder of Simple Words, which centers on a series of books that cater to helping dyslexic children become better readers. I have Michelle Sahin with us today as well, a recent Starbucks activist turned women's empowerment coach and founder of Michelle's Life Coaching LLC. And lastly, I have Miss Brenda Sawyer with us here this evening, self-empowerment author of Encouraging Words for the Mind, Spirit, and Soul, a collection of devotions taken from Girls Walking with Integrity and Empowering for Destiny, GWWI, of which she is CEO and founder. Ladies, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to start with Cheatham. Cheatham, learning to read can be very distressing and can be very stressful for any child, right? Despite the educator's best efforts to make learning fun. Your books are special because they use decodable, high-frequency, and basic words to improve reading fluidity for young leaders struggling with dyslexia. So tell us a little bit about that. How can viewers contact you, firstly? And then secondly, what is the unique value of your business and the services that you provide through your books?
Thank you, Jan. Thanks for having me here. I'm so thrilled to be on the panel today. So I'm Cheatham Knebel. I'm an author, and I'm the founder of Simple Words Books. The viewers can find me at simplewordsbooks.com or email me anytime with Knebel, Knebel, at simplewordsbooks.com. So as you said, reading can be a difficult journey for a lot of kids. As you know, talking is very simple. The brain is wired for learning to talk, but reading is not like that, especially for a language like English. It's a very, very tough language, and I can attest to it because I'm a foreigner, so I learned as a second language. There are 26 letters in the English alphabet, and there are 44 sounds, and I know over 200 ways to write those sounds. And some people say it's actually 1,133. I'm still collecting all the different ways of how sounds come together and form these words. So for kids with dyslexia whose brain is already wired for having challenges to put sounds and letters together, reading is really a big challenge. So the way I focus on my books is I use decodable words, meaning using constants only on one sound, and also short vowels, which makes it easier for them to decode. And hopefully by giving them these tools, they will be able to practice something that actually will turn into something successful. So
Cheatham, let me ask you a question so that the viewers understand. So when you say decode, right, what does that mean?
So if you have a word like cat, you can say k-a-t, so cat. That's a decodable word. But if you have a word, for example, like need, you can't say ne, de, it's need. Or if you are looking at the word apple, the a sound is different than car. So there are so many different ways of, for example, a letter to be pronounced. For E, there are 8 different words, ways you can write E. But if you are writing just a E like an I, then that's how, like E as an igloo is the only one I would use, not the other 7 ones.
So then these are words that, that it's easy to sound out, right?
Yeah, so they
would
would be
sound out these words.
Yes, correct.
Got it. Okay. And just very quickly, so in terms of the value that you provide, I mean, tell us a little bit about the success that you have observed through these books and how they've been able to help children with dyslexia.
So as a mom, I think the biggest success I have is with my own child. Now, I know he's thriving as a reader. Every day is a challenge, of course, as many parents can attest to it. But I know that, he has now self-confidence that he can actually make it happen. And I do believe that my books were a big catalyst for it, because early on when we started the language training program with him, he didn't have to wait 2.5 years to be able to grab a chapter book to read. Early on, he got an opportunity, like his friends, practice something where he felt like he could take this under his control. And the way I see reading is also like going to the gym. Like you go to a gym, if you're practicing with really weak weights, then you don't get stronger. But if you're also using really heavy weights, then you can hurt your muscles. And I feel like this is really a good analogy for my books, because if you're trying to read books that are really simple, like Cat Sat on a Mat, then they're just too easy and you're not giving that child the right practice. It has to be at their level. But if you're giving them a book that is so difficult, is frustrating them, and they're feeling like they're trying so hard, but they're failing over and over again. So my goal with these books are to be that in-between books where they can actually practice and get the success feeling as early as they can.
So we have some of Cheatham's books with us this evening. So this is one of them. You can see an absolutely striking cover, absolutely beautiful, definitely would catch the eye of any child. I would want to read it if I was of the proper age to read this book. So this is called The Gold of Black Rock Hill. And we had talked about the fact that the books are decodable. So they're largely comprised of words that can be easily spelled out, between 4,000 and 8,000 words total. So this book falls right in line with that. So we're going to come back to Cheatham, and we're going to come back to her books, the Simple Words books. But we're going to transition now over to Michelle Sahin. So Michelle is a recent Starbucks activist turned empowerment coach. She's also founder of Michelle's Life Coaching LLC. So I'm going to ask Michelle what I know everybody out there is wanting to know about her. Michelle, what was that experience like in Starbucks back in April when I believe 2 African-American males were very aggressively ushered out of the Starbucks store? You know, what was that experience like? How did you react to that? And how has that impacted your coaching style and your work around diversity?
Well, first, thank you for having me. That day was, it's a day that I will never be able to forget. And one of the reasons that I actually took a stand that day so strongly was because I had actually recently been in Africa. My parents are Ghanaian immigrants, and throughout my life, I kind of felt there was a disconnect between me and the Black community. I grew up in an African house, but in a very white town separated from Black America. So I was always searching for that connection. And when I went to Ghana in 2017, I actually went to a slave castle. And it was the most incredible, most heartbreaking experience I've ever had in my entire life. So when I came back to America, it was impossible for me not to look at every single African American as my possible neighbor or relative or friend in Africa. So when I came back in March, I started to really research and do my own, basically do my own history lesson, because I went to a school that didn't really teach Black history. So when I saw them being arrested, actually what really prompted me to actually switch my coaching a little bit to intuition coaching was when I saw them talking to the barista, I felt in my gut that something wasn't right. I knew that I couldn't trust her, but I had to check myself. And I said, well, Michelle, now you're being prejudiced. You have no idea what it is that she's saying. But then when the cops arrived and I actually heard her lying, I said to myself, Michelle, part of your whole personal development focus for the past 6-7 years has been trusting your gut, and you were right. So for me, it wasn't a matter of, am I going to do something? It's what am I going to do? These are my brothers. I could see my own brothers in that situation, and I would hope that someone would do the same, for them. And so it's actually helped me focus a lot more on intuition and helping my clients trust their gut, because that's your wisdom within. That's your God within. You are right, probably 90% of the time. And so it's really really helps me with my coaching.
So Michelle, when you think about where we are as a country, do you feel that this was an isolated incident? Do you feel like we, as a whole, are we making forward progress towards better awareness and better understanding of these issues? Not viewing someone who's different than us, and ultimately, very quickly making snapped decisions and conclusions based on what we're seeing in front of us. Do you feel like we're doing a better job with that? Do you feel like this is an isolated incident, or do you feel like this is evidence that, we still have a long way to go, and that these things are happening all over the world, even if they are not televised, and even if they are not covered by newspapers and media?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've experienced racism from the police when I was like 23, and that was when I first realized no matter how educated I am. You know, I went to Penn State, got my bachelor's degree in health policy and administration. I was a consultant. No matter how I talk, no matter how I dress, I'm still a Black woman in America. And so I know that these, you know, incidents happen all the time. And so I think that now there's more of a focus on it, but I haven't seen a focus on it like it is today. Because I think everyone is starting to really realize that these things do still happen. There is still a problem. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. So when I do my corporate speaking, I really emphasize on unconscious bias. People don't realize that their thought creates their emotion, and their emotion drives their action. They don't see that connection. And so I get people to really, you know, I ask them a lot of questions. I get them to examine themselves. I get them to reflect upon their own privileges, because being a woman that was in corporate for so long, there was such a need for diversity and inclusion, and I never felt totally included. And I know that companies now really want to focus on that more. And so I go in there and I help them really change their company culture so that they can retain their employees of color and just have a greater employee experience altogether.
So, you know, we've been talking a lot this evening about self-leadership and just about leadership in general. You know, from a self-leadership perspective, Michelle, it's very clear that you were able to identify that your responsibility to these situations was to dive headfirst into diversity and inclusion, training, unconscious bias, and that's kind of a place that you're making your mark and helping to improve conditions for others. From a self-leadership perspective, what would you say is the responsibility of others as it relates to some of these issues that we're struggling with as a country?
Well, I actually...
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. I didn't think about that question, though. I actually think that collectively, each human has a responsibility to evolve. I mean, can you imagine if we were, you know, the first caveman just decided to never go outside of the cave? We have dreams because we are supposed to evolve. And so each person's evolvement is really, I think, necessary for the development of the entire world, not just for ourselves, but for, you know, for generations to come.
Thank you, Michelle. So we're going to transition over to Ms. Brenda Sawyer now. After graduating from Hunter College with a dual major in psychology and early childhood development, Brenda, you taught elementary school in the city of Philadelphia for a whopping 26 years. Goodness gracious, I don't know if I could commit to anything that long. My hat's off to you. Following that, Brenda obtained a master's degree in elementary education and then felt led to start her own mentorship program for girls. Brenda, tell us a little bit about, first, so number one, how can we contact you? And number two, what is the unique value that this mentorship program provides for the community?
Well, you can contact me at brendasawyer.com, and I'm also on different social medias, such as Facebook. That's where my Girls Walking with Integrity is. That's a group on Facebook, and also Instagram at Brenda Sawyer Encourages. Brenda Sawyer Encourages. And the question was, how does this impact the community?
Yes.
Okay, well, Girls Walking with Integrity impacts the community because it involves a coalition of parents, teachers, and community leaders, which would be basically coming together to work with these young ladies to teach them about self-esteem, their integrity, and they are actually trying to find their destiny for posterity. So that's where we try to involve the community in our program as far as, you know, community services and outreach ministries. So that's how that would probably impact the community.
So I'm going to stay with Brenda for a little while. So Girls Walking with Integrity and Empowering for Destiny is a Christian-based program for young women ages 8 to 18, equipping them with the tools needed to succeed through community service, workshops, and religious study. So Brenda, tell us a little bit more about the program. So how are you specifically helping young women? And then I also want you to give us the scoop on your book, because you are a newly published author with a book that is being sold on Amazon.
Well, Girls Walking with Integrity, as I said before, is a community effort to bring people back in the community and to give people a sense of self, especially the young ladies. I noticed that from teaching almost 26 years, and we do need to empower our young ladies for, with self-esteem, dignity, integrity, let them walk in that, let them know who God has really called them to be. And we basically have workshops around that where I can bring in community leaders and parents to facilitate a lot of the activities that we have. I can bring in someone from the bank per se, and they can do a financial literacy course or class with them or activity with them. So we do different activities, and we go out into the community also to do community service and different community activities as far as ministries are concerned as well.
So Brenda, how many girls are you, I guess, how many girls would you say you are impacting in a year's time? How many girls are you touching? And can you also just share a success story or two that sticks out in your mind?
Think about that. Well, we do a lot of activities, and I remember there was an activity where I did looking in the mirror, where young ladies looked in the mirror at themselves, and they basically had to describe what they saw, okay? And that was basically a self-esteem activity where they had to look in the mirror, see what they actually, what did they see, what do you see in the mirror? How do you see yourself? And we got a lot of, some negative and some positive, but most of it was negative, that they saw themselves as, not how other people saw them. So, and we know everybody has scars. We know everybody has, hurts, and we can't tell that unless we get into where they are, where their heads are. So we did the activity, and the positive thing that came out of that was one young lady, didn't see herself as beautiful or as, however, we thought she should have seen herself. So she did this activity, and I told her, you know what, why don't you go back and look again and look and see what you can see. I mean, what positive thing can you find in yourself? And then I had them do activities together where they would look at each other and say, well, what do you, what good do you see in the other person that you're looking at? And what good do you see in yourself? So that's, when she did that, she came up with a different conclusion of herself. So that was, I think, pretty empowering for that young lady. Yeah.
So lastly, that was wonderful. So lastly, Brenda, tell us about this book, and I'm going to steal a copy off of your lap here. So Brenda has a new book on Amazon that is called Encouraging Words for the Mind, Spirit, and the Soul. Brenda, give us the 30-second elevator pitch for why women should be reading this book, specifically young women.
Well, I'm praying that it would empower them in their daily walk with Christ, a closer relationship with Him. This book basically was inspired through Girls Walking with Integrity, Empowering for Destiny. That is an inspiration from that group. So usually I have on the group, I post different positive things on the group. I try to do that daily on Girls Walking with Integrity, Empowering for Destiny. And from the post that I put was birthed, that book was birthed. So that's where the book came from.
So this is Encouraging Words for the Mind, Spirit, and the Soul by Brenda Sawyer, and you can get this book on Amazon.com immediately.
You can. May I mention again that I have a Spanish version of it as well?
There's a Spanish version.
There's a Spanish version here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Brenda. So we're going to transition back over to Ms. Sahin. So Michelle, along with being a life coach, you are also a corporate speaker. You're a facilitator on race relations, unconscious bias, and privilege. So briefly, tell us a little bit about who your, who a good client is for you, who is a good referral for you, And then also, what are you offering in terms, what are you offering in exchange for viewer support?
So my ideal client are young women like myself who want to match their passions with their career. Also young women who want to really improve their relationships, not just romantic, but with their family and their friends. So for my viewers, I'm offering the first 100 people to email me at info@michellesahin.com, and we'll do a free 30-minute phone call to find the next step you have to take towards that ideal life.
Ooh, wonderful. Yep.
info@michellesahin.com. Yep.
Complimentary 30-minute consultation to gauge what might be possible in terms of leadership development and coaching.
Yes, correct.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. And we're going to transition lastly over to Ms. Cheatham Knable. Cheatham, after your own child was diagnosed with dyslexia around age 7, and after you realized that the majority of books were not very conducive to supporting a young child suffering with the condition, you took it upon yourself to author a series of books varying from 4,000 to 8,000 words. What message do you have for parents out there who are struggling to encourage a similarly diagnosed child?
Well, the first thing I would say is, like Michelle said, trust your gut. If you feel like something is not right, then investigate what it is, learn what dyslexia is, or maybe it's other learning differences. Just follow your gut, like Michelle said. I think that is so important. Parents know when something is not going well. And, with the best intention, teachers, educators, they're trying to guide parents the way they know how, but it's the fact that most of the teachers graduate without even learning the word dyslexia. Even those teachers who have a master's degree might not even hear the word dyslexia throughout their education. So follow your gut, and I would say if your child is struggling, just understand their strengths, not focus on their weaknesses, and try to be there and just be compassionate, because it is tough for them.
And how can we contact you?
So
most importantly.
So my books are on Amazon, and you can contact me at Knebel, Knebel, at simplewordsbooks.com, and my website is simplewordsbooks.com, and I'm on social media. You can just write dyslexia and simple words books, and you would find me on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram.
Wonderful. So Cheatham Knable, author of Simple Words Books, Michelle Sahin, founder and CEO of Michelle Sahin Coaching LLC, and Brenda Sawyer, founder and CEO of Girls Walking with Integrity and Empowering for Destiny. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mayor Frank Moran of the great city of Camden, reminding you to shop urban and shop local to save time and money, get a higher level of customer service, create jobs, and build stronger families and communities. This holiday season, remember to shop urban and shop local, shop Camden.
This holiday season, remember, shop urban, shop local, and to shop Camden.
Hi, this is Stan Matthews, host of the Matthews TV broadcast and founder of the Inner Circle Professional Network. It takes a village to raise a child and a community to build healthy, wealthy businesses, professional practices, and community organizations. The Matthews TV broadcast enables urban consumers like you to support urban business owners, professionals, nonprofit and community organizations that make urban communities great places to live, work, and raise a family. So please continue to watch the Whole Person, Whole Community broadcast on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. on Comcast Xfinity Channel 190 and at the Matthews Broadcast YouTube channel. Oh yeah, and tell 10 friends to watch the broadcast too. Heartfelt thanks for your continued friendship and support.
See you